So our project title is Java e-library system. So we are going to build one e-library system with some login methods for students and admin also, like for librarian, to create one e-library which includes some bin part or some JSP part also. So we are mainly focused on e-library management with Java. So you can develop with another languages also, like Python, we have Django, then Flask also, then we have PHP also. But why we are deploying with Java? Because it's really fast. Again, it's easy to handle. And with JDBC and Java servlets, it's very useful. Like they created web thing different and for the backend thing different. So we can define both things very significantly. So our project title is Java e-library system. So this project is based on JDBC, Java database connection, JSP, Java servlet pages, Java servlet, which used to create some database connection with JSP and all things, and with the server deployment. So JSP, I'm going to tell how it will work, but let us see what is our requirements and all about our system. So our system project aim is basically develop a web app using Java for e-library platform with the help of Java Servlet, JSP and JDBC. So I'm not considering here server part because server is final step for deployment and everything. You can use different deployment servers. For the local hosting, I'm showing here Glassfish server, but for online web deployments, you can use different platforms like Heroku app also use this, or you can use Google Cloud platform also to deploy your server. So Heroku app needs PostgreSQL for their deployment, but I'm using here Oracle database. You can easily shift to PostgreSQL. All the queries are same and all the things are same. So steps of our development is basically project setup, understanding different tools we are going to use, JSP basics, basics of database, Java servlet and JDBC connection, and deployment on the server. So before proceeding with our further system and everything, let us explain and how we can set up, let us understand how we can set up our project. So I'm using here IDE as primary ID, NetBeans, which is very popular and open source. I'm closing this panel also. So this is my previous project. Let us create a new project. Go to file here, click new project. Once this is done, I need to add more things here. Likewise, you can see here new project thing. I have to add this. This is my new project, as you can see. So go to Java Web here, Java and Web Application, click next. Then I'm giving the name as e-library. Okay, as you can see, e-library. Let me maximize this part. Okay, hope you can see this now. Okay. Then I'm going to click next. Choose here your Glassfish server I'm using, eWeb. Next. I don't want to use anything here. Click finish. So it will take time to load everything. So now you can see this is my old, forget about it, ignore about this. So e-library is my now main project here. So let me add some libraries here first. As you can see, these are added libraries, but I want to add some jar folder here. So let me add one jar folder. So what is the jar folder basically is nothing but I'm going to add jar folder here. Java X I want to add. So this is database. I will later tell you about that part also. Let me add my Java X. If your JDK 1.8 is not consist Java X file, it will give error while deploying everything. So go to 1.8. I'm using this. I'm going to library. So first find out where you stored your Java X files. So it should be there. Okay, Java X.jar. This file I'm adding with absolute path. So now my file is added. As you can see, my file is added now. So let me zoom this. So this is my index.html. So consider this as index only, nothing more. But let me tell you something more about this. So what is the index.html? Is a loading page. So if you want to check your system is running or not, click here, then go to clean and build. If your window is not opening here, output window, go to window here. You can use Control 4 button also, but I'm using here out button. Take it down here because like this. Now you can see this is deploying. So let us run this project first. So this is for first time. So I'm just running this for first time to check everything is running or not. I'm going to use here some default Bootstrap templates, also some default CSS and JSP files also. Not default, but JS files, JavaScript files and HTML CSS. These are some already created templates. So I don't want to focus on that part. I just want to focus on Java part here. So I'm going to use that. So let us see our project is running or not. So it will take time actually for running. 2 to 3 minutes it will take. So now you can see my project is running and it's showing to do write a content. So this is nothing but you just wrote here things. So my deployment is running. I'm going to close this all things and I'm going to close my browser also because we haven't written anything. So in next tutorial I will tell you how we can deploy this, but before that let us learn which tools we are going to use and what is the significance of these tools. So as I told you, we are going to use JSP, Java Servlet and JDBC. So our application requirements is basically some more important part. So what is this basically? So we are going to use some SQL statements. We are going to use some login statements and everything. So let us see what we are going to use. So our application requirements is Java program to display web contents. Java program, you should have some basic concepts of SQL also. You should know about HTML and CSS. I'm not going to explain each and every tag here in HTML. I'm using your Bootstrap for better GUI. So we need a one website to login as admin or login as a student. Admin is a librarian part here I'm considering. Admin administration actions like add book something. Students should have register and login, book submit, anything that part related to library. I'm going to tell you that further. Then JDK 1.8 we need. IDE I'm going to use NetBeans. You can use any IDE. Java EE version, Enterprise Edition version 8, Oracle or MySQL database, Glassfish server or Tomcat server. Remember, for the server deployment, you should check port. If your port is 8080 and if it's already occupied by MySQL server or Oracle database server, you have to change the Glassfish server either, or you have to change the Oracle database port also. My recommendation is to change Glassfish server port because it's easy, and Oracle data, maintain the Oracle database with 8080 port always, HTTP listener port basically. So it will be helpful. So let us see what is basically Java servlets. So if you know the Java servlet parts earlier, it is going to very easy. So Java servlets is an API that provides many interfaces and classes. So servlets acts as interfaces and classes both. So it is primary technology to build and create a web application. On the servlets, different steps are used now. Spring, then Hibernate also providing. So servlet is an interface that must be implemented for the creating on any servlet. So servlet is acts as a interface for creating any web app or anything. And servlet is a class that extends the capabilities of servers, responds to the incoming request and etc. things. Now, what is servlet is web component that deployed on the server part. So as I told you, HTML is a client part, or we can say it is network part while deploying all things. But the Java servlets are mainly deployed, and that pages, Java pages, are stored in the server part. So in this example, our system is only a client and server acts as a both. But consider there are two computers, or we can say tremendous huge network of some school or university, and all the servers, or we can say all the clients connected to the one server. So for all e-library management system, the main logic in the servlet or main Java logic is stored in the server side only. So it will act as a request and response for every server for that purpose. So like add and book and etc. things for all logical thinking. So this is all about the servers. So servlets are mainly running on server, which depends on request and response from the client. So firstly, client request server for something information like I want to fetch the data from this database, or I want to put this into the database. So these are all kinds of request. Response is generated at the runtime, like in the server. If a request is given, server will do something and response will be generated. So that response can be a data, that book is added to the database, that part, or request can be, or you can see that book is issued for that student. So this is all about how the servlets are running. So why servlets we are using here? So you can use normal things also, CGI, which is basically written in Perl or anything, Perl, C or C++ languages. But why we are not using this? Because it creates some processes, we can say. CGI, Common Gateway Interface, it creates processes. So it acts as a multi-processing. So server are limited for some amount of processes. More than processes, consider one server which computing capacity is only considering 100 processes. So one client put one each, or we can say one client put 5 requests. So that request converts into the process, and that process comes to the server. So for each client, if he's creating 5 and server can handle only 100, so it's very difficult. Only 20 clients can be used. But in a servlet parts, what's happening? Java itself creates servlets or requests into threading. So threading consists more number of processes. Also threading includes some thread lock also. Then we have known that threading have some own time complexity things. So it will be very easy for server to handle that processes step by step. So now you are clear with why we are using servlets. So main part is our JSP, but Java servlets are used here to create database connection and everything. So there are request dispatcher in servlets, as I told you. There are nothing like request dispatcher in JSP. Remember, JSP does not consist any request dispatcher. Request dispatcher is providing some interfaces facility for dispatching request from one source to another source, like one HTML to another HTML, one servlet to another servlet. So it consists forward and include methods. Forward for forwarding, that including means include in the same part. So this is all about these things. So hope you understand throughout this diagram. So it is very easy to consider this all part. So this is all about servlet. So servlet consists 3 important parts: HTML, CSS, JS for front end, Java servlet program with backend part and logical method. Backend means basically connecting front end to the database. So we need some Java logic, like put this parameter to this row, put this second parameter to second row. Like that, we want to write a logic. Logic is very easy, and there are some default useful statements we are going to use here. Web XML to control flow web app. So now we know that HTML one index.html is added, or which is put to the index.java, which is basically Java servlet. But we know that, but our IDE or our web flow doesn't know that. We have to add that. So control flow web app will check for the control flow of our web app, everything, and web.xml basically, and it will check which linking part is linked to that particular part. If not, it will add some dependencies also. So web XML will take care of all the connection and everything. So in further part, we are going to learn how we can create JSP, how we can set up our project. So in next tutorial, I am going to tell our project part and with the index.html development and our fully developed servlet.